Welcome to the Delight Your Marriage podcast, the show where you hear from amazing and inspiring wives sharing their struggles, triumphs, and advice for this journey called marriage. Here's your host, Bella Rose.
Hi there and welcome. This is Bella Rose and you are listening to the Delight Your Marriage podcast. I want to thank you so much for joining me. If this is your first time, it is definitely an honor to be able to speak with you today. And I have something for you that I'm going to be sharing on Tuesday. So tune in again and I'll let you know this very exciting project that I'm working on that I think you're going to love too. Otherwise, I have a wonderful second half of the interview today for you, Mrs. Laura Doyle, who just gives so much amazing insight. I don't want you to miss even a part. If you have not listened yet to the first part of this, the first half, I want you to go back to Tuesday's podcast and listen to it because it's just so good. But we are listening to the second half of this, and let's go ahead and dive in. Cool. Well, okay, so to move on to the second part of this, I would love to hear, you did share a little bit already, but how your marriage looks like now. You showed us kind of what it looked like in the difficult stage, and how has it transformed?
Yeah, well, that's nice and great. I what I think is really exciting and moving for me is I think about myself like almost 26 years ago, standing at the altar and saying, I do, with my big fluffy white dress on. And it's kind of funny, there's a picture of us that day where we're just goofing around or whatever, but I'm like trying to pick him up. He's in his tuxedo, I'm in my big white fluffy dress. And I'm like trying to pick him up. And I love to show that picture now. And it just says at the top, not a relationship expert. Because really, I didn't know a lot of things, right? My parents were divorced. And following what I saw Mom do, and it was a failed recipe by definition. And but when I look back now, I think that I was hopeful and I was optimistic, and I just thought we could figure it out. And I just feel like I have the relationship now that I dreamed of when I said I do. That all the things I hoped for. Oh my God, it chokes me up still because it was it was I almost didn't have this. I almost divorced the man of my dreams. Wow. And so it's still pretty exciting for me and gratifying. Yeah. Yeah. And I just don't know anything that I think I value more than knowing how to love and be loved by my husband. Wow. Yeah. Wow. So it's pretty great. And as I mentioned, there's a lot of playfulness. I just never know when I'm going to get like a little shove into the flower bed while we're walking along or something like that. Like mischief thing that kind of goes along with it. And I treasure that too because we just love to laugh together and tease each other. And that really went missing when we had a lot of Cold Wars at my house where there was silence, but it wasn't it wasn't just relaxed silence. It was like total tense silence, like we're not speaking silence kind of things. And that laughter to me is such a higher level of emotional safety and confidence in ourselves and each other and our connection.
Wow. The laughter is that emotional safety and confidence.
Yeah, exactly. You don't laugh when you're scared. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So we get to laugh a lot, and I love to laugh.
Yeah. It's just so beautiful to hear. It just feels like you've transported us there into this place of, roses and butterflies. And it's just like...
It is like that. It is like that. And speaking of butterflies, too, like the whole... what's so interesting is when I was in my controlling, critical mode, there weren't butterflies, of course, and there certainly weren't butterflies in my stomach, right? Because I was kind of going around with my hard hat and my clipboard and my whistle or whatever, and I was managing everything. And now I do feel that exhilaration, like, and even with lovemaking, especially with that too, right? Since I'm taking a more vulnerable approach and a more feminine approach, I don't ever, like I used to say to him, like, we never make love, with my hands on my hips or whatever, which is so not attractive. It was not, it could like jump up and go, you're right, let's get down, you and me, let's table. Yeah, so, and when I, now I'll just I'll get my little Victoria's Secret outfit on or whatever, and put myself on, I got a magazine or something. I'm just doing whatever, it's like, it's a normal day and I'm wearing my normal outfit, But,
that's awesome.
Yeah, and he'll just like knock the magazine out of my hand or something, and just, or he won't, So I mean, you take a risk, right? When you do it that way, you're more vulnerable, and I'm kind of sending a signal like, hey, I'm available, and it's so much more exhilarating to be in that feminine role and get approached and feel desired and devoured than it is to and have your clipboard.
Yes, it's so good. That's interesting that you said that you take a feminine approach. Mm-hmm. So it's a very, very judicious. Like, you're very intentional about being pursued. Is that right?
Yeah, because what's really important, something I really value, is feeling desired. And if I am telling him what to do, even if I'm just saying, hey, we should have sex, or let's have sex, it's more of an order, right? It's like, okay, let's do it because you said we should do it, so we're doing it. Whereas, it's almost like you can't win from that position, right? I can't really, because I'm like, wait, does he think I'm hot, or is he just doing it because I said so? So for me, it's just more thrilling and gratifying to find out and see if he desires me. And the more I take this goddess of fun and light approach, of course, and the more feminine I am, right? That's the big thing too. It's like I can really set those gender contrasts to like maximum, which is when the excitement's the highest. Like, and the more feminine I show up, the more masculine he shows up, and then on the more I'm like, oh, he's amazing.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. It can be challenging because I think as modern women, a lot of times, whether you're raising kids or you're in the workplace for 40 hours a week, you are having to manage things. And that's where maybe you got your hard hat and your clipboard on, right? So if you're doing that for 40 hours a week, or like, I'll give you an example. Actually, my husband, before we met, he dated a teacher. She was a third grade teacher, and she was in the habit of managing her 8 and 9-year-old. So she would say to my husband, John, she'd say, go sit down, put that away. Like, she was still 8-year-old. I know, like, totally.
Oh, gosh.
I don't feel he broke up with her. But I think it's like, I mean, we can laugh at her, but in some ways, I think every modern woman has this challenge, because you might be out buying stuff for the kids, and you're also like, okay, I'll buy his underwear too, or you're making their doctor appointments, and so you're making his too. And it's like, it's a little bit, I think it can just take a little bit of concentration and focus to not fall into the role of mothering your husband or managing your husband, either one.
Right.
And both are just deadly for intimacy.
I just think that's so important. I just hear it so many times from wives where it's so evident that they are managing their husbands, and yet, it's just, and sometimes I'm, when I coach, it's just exciting to hear, like, okay, I can just say, okay, listen to Laura Doyle's interview. Just listen.
Identify with the formal warning that is Laura Doyle. Exactly.
I love that. Well, okay, so tell us then, if you could dumb down the 3 chief reasons that your marriage has been successful, could you tell us those?
Sure. Well, first of all, I would say the first one is recognizing that intimacy is like anything else in life. It's a skill. Yeah. I had a friend in college who took psychology because she was trying to figure out her boyfriend, and I was like, that is so not necessary. And I had my own little self-study program, and my textbooks were like Cosmo and Glamour. I'm like, I've got this handled. So, and so sadly, surprisingly, everything that I learned about that was true about how to have a successful relationship was kind of the opposite of what I learned in those magazines. It's the opposite of marriage counseling, where you go and complain about each other for an hour a week, or wait for the counselor to fix him, or say disrespectful things in front of a stranger and in front of your husband. Like, that is just setting you back, unfortunately. So for me, I think, finding people that had what I wanted and really asking for their advice, that was huge.
Yeah.
My mom gave me, that information. She didn't have it herself. But I think about it like the way I think about a 16-year-old. Like, we don't just hand them the car keys and say, hey, you're 16 now, go take the car for a spin, have fun.
Yeah.
We say, okay, first you need some driving lessons, behind the wheel. We're going to give you a written test. Then you're going to take the exam and get a license, and then and only then do we expect you to, even then we think you might get into a little accident now and then, but right? So, and I just think it's the same way with relationships, that if you haven't had good modeling, if your parents are divorced, or if they don't have the kind of relationship you want to have, then you just need to go somewhere else to get those skills. And there are just, there's these 6 distinct intimacy skills that have made all the difference for me. So that's one thing, is just really treating it as one more thing that you want to learn and master if it's important to you, like making an omelet or learning to ski. And then I think the second... Before
you go to the second one, can you tell us, where can we find those skills?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
So they are, my new book, it's called First Kill All the Marriage Counselors, and I spell out each and every one of the skills and describe very specifically and practically exactly how to apply them, like down to the words that you could use with your husband that will get you amazing results. And you can go to getcherished.com, and it's all about feeling desired, cherished, and adored every day for life. And
I love that.
At getcherished.com, we have a Get Cherished challenge. And so it's my goal for every woman to really enjoy her birthright, which is to be desired, cherished, and adored. So I want that to happen, like maybe starting this weekend, let's say. So if you do the Get Cherished challenge, you will get a series of emails with experiments that you can try in your marriage to see if you get good results. And let me just tell you, you will, because this has been tried with hundreds of thousands of women all over the languages, and it really works.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Okay, getcherish.com. We'll also have this linked up at Delight Your Marriage, so we'll have that for you too. Okay, so the second one.
Well, the second one, I think, for me was really about restoring my dignity and kind of back to the courage theme, and that is that just using the tone of voice more befitting of a calm, mature woman, and not the one of like a screeching child or my mother on her worst day. So really, I feel like through this process of trying to save my marriage, I really became my best Laura. Like, this was the best self-improvement program I could have ever undertaken, and it's transformed me in so many ways. And that dignity thing has just been huge. I feel so much better. I'm just not that person who's always having to fight City Hall anymore. I'm calmer, and I'm just more dignified is the word that really comes to mind. And then I think that the third thing that has made all the difference for me, huge difference, is a community of like-minded women. And it's not the easiest thing to find. Even at church, it's not the easiest thing. And I think that's partly because, again, we don't have relationships 101 in school. And if you didn't have good modeling, it's like, where are you going to find these women that have good relationships and want to only improve that and strengthen that foundation by being respectful and being feminine and receptive. And I think that if you're having trouble finding that, that's one of the things that we've worked hard to do is create that community, because your husband can't be your sole support. It just isn't possible, right? He's one little man, and I know Deborah Tannen talks about how women use about 2,500 words a day more than men do. And I just laugh and think about, I know at my house, and probably the whole world over at like 6 or 7 at night. Like he's out of words and you're still like, hey, I got 2,500 words left to use here. Made sisters, girlfriends. And there's also going to be times as a mere mortal woman that your husband does get on your very last nerve. So I don't want to leave the impression that he never hurts my feelings or walks across the new rug with his black shoe polish on or anything. So for that, it's like, hey, I've already got, okay, now my rug is ruined. That's one problem. If I make my marriage a mess out of it, then I got 2 problems. So I can vent to a girlfriend and say, my rug, and she can empathize, and that feeling gets to stay in the sun. But one problem I don't have is bickering in my marriage.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I love that you say that there's 2 problems then after you've got a messed up rug and you've got a messed up relationship, or you've got to fight through or whatever. Yeah, I love that. Okay, well, we've talked about intimacy quite a bit, but if you could, would you share a tip that you wish you knew about earlier, specifically sexual intimacy?
Yes. Well, I really love the policy of being available whenever your husband approaches you for lovemaking. Yeah. And I'll tell you, Belah, I've taken a lot of heat from that suggestion because I think people hear, like, wait, but it's my body and I get to choose. And of course, you always get to choose. And what I'm suggesting is that you choose the opportunity to have that physical, emotional, spiritual connection with your husband. As it really is the thing that distinguishes a romantic relationship from every other relationship you have. Like you might snuggle with your kids, you might share intimately, emotionally with your sister, but sex is the one thing that really makes a romantic relationship special and amazing. And if that piece goes missing or is hurting, it really affects the whole rest of the relationship. So take your opportunity for that stress relief, for that pleasure, to get those great chemicals going through your brain, actually, that result in that. And, I have clients that say, well, it's not that fun for me. It's just for him. And I just want to say, make it all about you. Make it the most pleasurable thing you can think of. He really does want to make you happy in bed. So it's incumbent on us to figure out how that's going to happen. Like I say, my husband has memorized a complicated set of instructions to make sure that I'm always thrilled in the bedroom. And, it was not easy, I'm sure. It was like, wait, not touch, or okay, now. And I just find, I've asked thousands of men, I'll say, how important is it to you that your wife is happy? And they all say the same thing. They go, oh, it's everything. It's the most important thing. It's very important. So if you've gotten to a place where sex just feels like a chore, hey, good news. You're the one with the power to transform that and really make it an area of strength and pleasure and fun.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. And so just make sex all about you. It's brilliant. Yeah.
It is always all about us as women. We forget who we are and how we were made special. But when you bring yourself back to that place, you remind yourself, you get mindful of it again. And one of the little tips, if we still have time, I just feel about this is that if you've got something that you want to have happen in the bedroom, words are awkward sometimes in the bedroom. So what can be really sexy and just titillating and fun is when you're somewhere else with him, like you're out to dinner or you're out walking together, and you can just like whisper in his ear, you know what would be really awesome is if we pretended you were a pilot and I was a whatever, right? Like
whatever.
Whatever thing he is, you're whispering it to him outside the bedroom. He knows he's going to take notes. And then when you're inside the bedroom, let the words just be minimal, because you can give a lot of feedback verbally, but non-verbally too, right? You can be moaning or just expressing your pleasure without actually using words.
Yeah, no, that's so good. I just love that. Awesome. Okay, well, now kind of my final question to you is, due to the specific marriage that you've had, what are some opportunities you've had to serve or get to know God?
Okay, well, I got to tell you, for me, the whole concept of surrendering has been just one big spiritual journey where I've really grown to trust God. And what I mean by that is I didn't trust my husband to do things, and I felt like I had to control them. And that was all control is based in fear. You know, if you're not afraid you're going to have to wait longer or pay more or do more work, you don't have to try to control it. And so it was a giant metaphor for me, like, my husband's not going to take care of me. And it was like, oh, God's not going to take care of me. That was my fear. And by using the opportunity I had in my marriage to practice having faith in my husband and trusting my husband, it gave me these incredible trust muscles for God. And like I say, this just gigantic, thrilling adventure unfolded for me as I started to do that. And the more that I, and as I continue to do that, I mean, my life is amazing now, right? I get to work from home, being a writer and a relationship coach, and I work with other relationship coaches. I have 20 coaches here at Laura Doyle Connect, and I get to connect with them every week in my community of women. And so it's like all these blessings that have come out of, there was a practical lesson for me in a spiritual realm. And my husband was, he was that lesson. Like, just, it was just about, I really feel like I am a woman of faith now. And I didn't understand before. I didn't really know what faith meant. I didn't know what humility meant before. And so both of those have been really, I feel like those are big blessings that I got.
Yeah. Yeah. I love those metaphors, talking about how all control is based in fear, and that fearing that God is not going to take care of me. And that's why we control. And, oh, that's so good. Someone out there needed that. Maybe it was me. It's really good.
Yeah. I appreciate getting to hear myself say it too, because it's just a reminder of, for me, because the fear is still going to come up. And if I, just go back to my quote, if I make the decision that something else is more important, to trust my husband, to trust God, then that's when the amazing miracles happen, right? I mean, the whole thing for me, I do feel like I got my miracle in my marriage. And, and I'm very grateful and thankful to God for that.
Amen. That's so good. So then, a book or program that you would specifically recommend?
Oh, I recommend The Surrender Wife.
Yeah, please.
And First Kill All the Marriage Counselors. I mean, The Surrender Wife is just always, it's such a precious thing to me, because it's helped me connect with so many women all over the world that identified and really got a lot of hope out of it. So, and that book it's a 15-year-old book. And it just, I continue to get an email. I get emails and Facebook posts every day, like, oh my gosh, I just read Surrender Wife, and wow, my whole world is changed. So, so I certainly recommend that. For me, the First Kill All the Marriage Counselors it's my new book, and it really represents like everything I've learned from coaching all these women in the last 16 years. I feel like I'm a little bit, I mean, some wisdom has come over those years that I didn't have when I wrote The Surrender Wife. But anyway, so they're both like my children. I love them both, and I promise you'll find blessings in both of those books.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, we'll take good care of your children and read them up and be excited about them. So that's awesome. Yeah. And I'll also have those linked up on the show notes. So that's great. Okay. So my final question is, if you could go back to year one, sit yourself down, what is the one piece of advice that you would give to you?
Yeah, I feel sad for when you're married, Laura.
Oh,
there was so much she didn't know, and so much she was afraid of. I think that was that's the main thing. That she was so scared every day, and just like took shallow little breaths, and just didn't see how things were going to ever work out. And I guess I just would want to tell her that. you're doing good. You're doing fine, and you're going to find your path. And it maybe isn't going to look exactly the way you think it is, but you're going to have a great adventure and a great love story. And I don't know how that's applicable to other women exactly as I'm saying that. I don't know. That's the most helpful advice, but I guess
I like it.
Yeah, the reassurance that faith in the things that are unseen, right? So I guess that's what I'd say to her most is have some faith. Have some faith.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that. I think it gives the long view, because even if it's really difficult in the short term, you've got Laura here who's 26 years later and has the, most fun, playful marriage you can ever think of. So it's awesome. Okay, well, where can our audience find and connect with you online?
I think the best thing is to go to the getcherish.com and see the Get Cherished Challenge. But I will tell you, I also have a weekly blog at lauradoyle.org, as in orgasm. Most people don't know that's what it stands for.
Most people don't. You're right.
Yeah.
I'm glad you know.
Right. So I try to just pack it full with just the most ridiculously helpful information that I can every week, and some inspiration.
Yes.
So I welcome everybody to come to the blog too.
Awesome. Well, clearly Laura is so much fun, and I'm just so grateful that you were able to share and give us so much wisdom and insight, Laura. Thank you.
Thank you, Bella. This has really been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I hope that you just got as much out of Laura being with us as I did. I really love her insights about making sex all about you and making sure that it is the one place that your relationship gets to be intimate. No other relationship is like that. And so I really love so much of her insights there. Okay, well, thank you again for joining me today, and I'm just praying that God would bless you and bless your marriage. I love you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. If you've been blessed by this, why not share it? Until next time, live with love, wisdom, and passion.